Okay, and we're back and ready for you to present, Micah.
Okay, hold on. Present. I really appreciate you guys putting up with this.
Yeah, no worries. We've had some technical
I swear
issues on
this is
our
worth
own.
it. I promise you this is worth it.
No,
I'm
we believe
interested
you.
already, so it's all good.
Okay, can I just go?
Go for it.
He gave them, I'm going to highlight the words here. He gave them honey from the cliff and olive oil from the rocky ground. He gave his people butter from the herd and milk from the flock. He gave them lambs and goats. They had the best rams from Bashan and the finest wheat. They drank the best wine made from the juice of red grapes. But Jeshurun became fat and kicked like a bull. So I'm going to start with the honey and the milk first, since I have them italicized already, okay? In the sign Cancer, imagine this is a small cluster of stars, what I just did, okay? In the sign Cancer, there's a group of stars called the beehive cluster. So that's where the honey comes from. The beehive cluster, further back, if you trace it back, used to be called the manger. Interesting, right? So this is the first day of summer. This is the summer solstice right here. Now, the milk in Sagittarius right here, the center of it, is where the Milky Way galaxy sits. And this day right here is the first day of winter. So there's your milk and honey. It goes from the beginning of summer until the beginning of winter, this half of the zodiac. It's not a place in the heavens, guys. I mean, it is a place in the heavens, guys. It's not a place on earth, the milk and honey land. Now, olive oil, as I explained, was Libra. So if I were to just get rid of this and say, we have Cancer, we have Sagittarius. Now, the olive oil is Libra, so let me mark that too. Lambs and goats, that's Aries and Capricorn. The rams is Aries. The wheat is the virgin with the wheat stalk, or Virgo. The wine made from the juice of red grapes is Libra, which we already have. The bull is Taurus. So look at this. Deuteronomy 32. You have this pattern right here, this pattern right here, this pattern right here, and this sign right here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 signs in Deuteronomy 32. Does that make sense so far to you guys?
Yes.
Okay, let's continue, because now I'm going to show you how to use the zodiac wheel when we do this. So Jesus, this is the Mount of Olives passage. Jesus led his disciples to the Mount of Olives after his last Passover, so he could teach them a few more things, pray, then wait for Judas to betray him. So let's highlight this stuff. The olives, Passover, and then wait for the betrayal. While walking to the Mount of Olive, he gave the parable of the true vine. So, Passover takes place in Aries, which is right here. Where right after that, he led them to the Mount of Olives. Well, where are the olives? The olives are Libra. That's the opposing sign connection I was showing you. Now, you're in Libra, which is law, wine, and oil, remember? Well, what does it say next? They're waiting for Judas to betray him. Who's the betrayer? Well, that's the connecting sign to Libra. That's Scorpio. But the passage specifically says they're waiting for the betrayal. So you're going to get rid of that. You're just going to notice the pattern, but get rid of it. You're still in Libra, which is wine, oil, and law. Remember? That's when he gives the parable of the true vine. So you have one pattern, two patterns. Very distinct patterns that tell the story. Each one of these zodiac signs tells a part of the story. And I'm going to show you how that works. Now, Revelation 4:7. The first living creature was like a lion. The second was like an ox. The third had a face like a man. The fourth was like a flying eagle. The first living creature was like a lion, that's Leo. The second was like an ox, that's Taurus. The third had a face like a man, that's Aquarius. The fourth was like a flying eagle. The eagle needs to be explained. In astrology, the Scorpio scorpion is the belly-crawling creature. It's the lowest form of life on Earth. It slithers on its belly. It's a punishment. The first thing in the Garden of Eden that God does after the deception is not throw them out of paradise. That's not the first thing he does. The first thing he does is he takes the legs away from the snake. Am I right?
Yes.
The first thing he does is so he makes him slither on his belly. It's a punishment. In Mexico, during Santo de la Muerte, men get dressed up in suits, in their finest suits, get down on their hands and knees in their belly, and they slither and crawl to church. It's a punishment. Now, the evolved form of, in astrology, the scorpion, also known as the ascendant, is the eagle. The eagle is the highest flying form of life on Earth. So that's how the scorpion evolves. The scorpion evolves 8 times, which is irrelevant for what I'm teaching right now. But just so you know, some of them after the scorpion becomes the eagle, it becomes the phoenix, which is a flaming ball of life that dies and is reborn from its ashes. It's the sun. It's Christ. It's everything. So you have Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio. These are the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac. Now, what does that mean? Well, you have 12 zodiac signs. You have 4 seasons. So there's 3 signs in each season. Now, this right here is winter. This is spring. This is summer. And this is fall. Okay? So with that being said, you have these 4 signs which start the season. They're known as the cardinal signs. That's why you have cardinals in church. If I were to break a zodiac sign up astrologically, you can break them into 3 10-day segments called deacons, which is why you also have deacons in church. Deacons and cardinals in church, because it's astrology. Now, this is the cardinal sign, these 4. This is known as the fixed sign, which is what we just talked about. And this is what's known as the mutable sign, which takes you out of the season. The reason it's the fixed sign is because if you look at Taurus and Scorpio, which are opposing signs, they're fixed in their season. Scorpio is the dead of fall. Aquarius and Leo, which is also opposing signs. Aquarius is the dead of winter. Taurus is the dead of spring. Leo is in the dead of fall. So either there's a 4-headed creature that's coming out of the heavens during the end of days, or it's simply just making this pattern in the zodiac. It's one of 2 things, and which answer is more simple. In Ezekiel 10:14, each of the cherubim had 4 faces. One face was that of a cherub, the second the face of a human being, the third the face of a lion, the fourth the face of an eagle. I'll show you how that is, if you guys have me back on, I have more work besides this. I'll show you Ezekiel's vision of God. I'll show you how these 4, they're there. Revelation 12. A great sign appeared in the heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns on its head. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. Now, I notice all the numbers, 7 heads, 10 horns, 7 crowns, 12 stars. I see that. That is the numerological breakdown of the Bible. I see it. I know it's there. I'm only doing the astrology, okay? So I acknowledge that it's there, but I'm not going to give you information on it because I'm just doing one thing right now. Now, okay. So a woman clothed with the sun is a metaphor for the sun clothed in Virgo. The sun is in Virgo. So the sun is in Virgo. If the sun is in Virgo, the moon will be at her feet. So I'll explain it this way. Not only does this show all the signs, but it's also a clock. Okay? Now, there's 12 signs, and there's 24 hours a day in each day. So each zodiac sign, the sun spends 2 hours a day in each sign. So here is midnight to 2. This is 2 to 4. 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12, 12 to 2 when the sun is at its highest at noon, 2 to 4, and we were looking for Virgo, right? Virgo is 4 to 6. Well, let's read this again. If the sun is in Virgo, the moon will be at her feet. Well, if the sun is between 4 and 6 p.m., is the sun still not out? So if the sun is out, then the moon would be at her feet. Not literally, but metaphorically, wouldn't it? I mean, if the sun is up, the moon is down. If the moon is up, the sun is down.
Right.
That's all it's trying to tell you. Then another sign appeared in heaven, an enormous dragon. Its tail swept a third of the stars out of the sky and flung them to earth. The constellation Draco to my left is the dragon, and this tail that I'm highlighting right here goes from Aries to Sagittarius, which is 4/12 of the signs, or 1/3 of the stars out of the sky. This is star poetry that they're trying to pass. So if I read Matthew 10:16, behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. So the sheep is Aries, and the wolf, if you go to the opposing sign Libra, there's a constellation called Lupus, which means wolf, and is in Libra. Those are opposing signs. So be as wise as serpents. Right here is the 13th sign you guys must have heard of, called Ophiuchus. It's a man holding a serpent in a basket, and harmless as doves. Well, the dove is an evolution of Scorpio. It's one of the 8 ones. So you have one pattern opposing, and then you have 1, 2, 3 signs in a row. There's a passage in the Bible. Do you guys recollect where they're talking about how Dan will be a serpent who bites the heel of the horse and the rider will fall off?
I do not know if I remember that. I mean, it does sound vaguely familiar, but
I'll explain it to you real quick. This is Ophiuchus right here.
I'm not remembering either.
Okay. Well, Ophiuchus is a man holding a basket above his head, and the serpent is in it. The snake's head is facing Sagittarius. So what happens is the serpent here will bite the heel of the horse, the man on the horse here, and the rider will fall off. It's just other ways of talking about the zodiac. It's just celestial poetry. So I've given examples of astro-theology in the Old Testament as well as the New Testament. I've been accused of cherry-picking verses from the Bible to prove a point, so let's take a much longer passage and see if we can decode it as well. I'm coming to the story of Job, and I need one of you two to please explain to your listeners what the story of Job was all about.
Okay, so in my interpretation, essentially Job was a very faithful man, and he is known for having great patience and great faith because he lost everything: his farm, his animals, his wife, his children, everything, and yet he chose to remain faithful to God. And now you have the terminology, the patience of Job.
Exactly. That's also where we get the word job from, obviously. The other thing that I would like to add to yours, which was an awesome, awesome rendition. Thank you very much, because you can't believe some of the stuff that I've heard people say about Job before. The one thing is that Satan makes a bet with God. He says, if you take away his stuff, he will curse you. And God actually tells him, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot take his life, right? He says you cannot take his life.
Right.
Right, exactly. So Job is basically sitting there with boils on a rock, and he's talking to God for like 20 pages in the Bible, right? He's just like singing his praises, but he's begging him to talk to him and all this stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're following.
What I'm gonna read you is God's response. Okay?
Okay.
So check this out. Job 38:32. Can you lead forth the Mazzaroth? They intentionally untranslated this. They did not translate this. They don't want you to know that the word Mazzaroth actually translates, and you can look this up in any source you'd like. The word Mazzaroth is the zodiac. So he says, do you know how to lead forth the zodiac? Mazzaroth over time becomes the word Mazalot, which survives in Judaism today. Mazel Tov, which you all know. Mazel Tov is extraordinarily old, so you can only imagine how old Mazzaroth is. Mazel Tov means good fortune from the stars. So what is the Lord's challenge to Job? He says, can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Finally, aren't these open celestial metaphors?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now the Pleiades are in Taurus, And Orion's belt, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Taurus, is between Taurus and Gemini. Can you bring forth the constellation in their season or lead out the bear with its cubs? The constellation or the zodiac above and the bear and its cubs are Ursa Major, the Great Bear, and Ursa Minor, part of the Big Dipper. That's Gemini and Cancer. Who can tip over the water jars of heavens? Who is literally tipping over the water jar of heavens? It's Aquarius. That's literally what it is. Do you hunt the prey for the lioness and satisfy the hunger for the lions? That's Leo. Now look at this. Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. We had Aquarius right here. This biblical passage opens with Aquarius and 4 connecting signs. But it doesn't stop there. Who provides food for the raven? That's the constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders on Virgo. Do you watch where the doe bears her fawn? Mariga, meaning deer, is located in Orion. Who let the wild donkey go free? That's the constellation Acellus Borealis, meaning donkey, and is located in Cancer. Will the wild ox consent to serve you? That's Taurus. Do you give the horse its strength? Well, we know the sign of the horse is Sagittarius, the man with the bow and arrow on the horse, right? Well, it laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. It does not shy away from the sword. The quiver, what is a quiver, guys?
The arrow container.
Exactly, because there's a man with arrows and a bow on a horse. That is Sagittarius. Does the eagle soar at your command on its command and build its nest on high? The eagle is Scorpio. Finally, he says, can you pull in Leviathan with a fish hook? And we know of Leviathan was an ancient fish deity around the age of Pisces, the same as Dagon, the same as Mithra worship. So this is what God says back to Job. Now look at this. We have Aquarius and Pisces connecting. We have Sagittarius and Scorpio connecting. And we have these 5 signs connecting. Like I tried to explain to you guys at the beginning of this, what this is a story using the zodiac and metaphorically teaching you where things are located, what you're supposed to do. It's a farmer's almanac, but it's basically celestial poetry. 9 out of the 12 zodiac signs are mentioned in this one passage. Now, this science only works for people in the northern hemisphere, and there is a reason for that. The Egyptians, Jews, Christians, and Muslims are all based out of the northern hemisphere. For example, June 21st, the summer solstice, is actually the winter solstice. In Australia and New Zealand, much of South Africa and South America. What that basically means is, here's Taurus, right? Taurus is right here. This is where you put the plow on the bull, right? Well, in the southern hemisphere, everything is backwards by 6 months. So what you would do is, to know when you need to plow, if you're using this as a farmer's almanac, you go across the wheel. That takes you to the southern hemisphere. So you would plow in Scorpio. You'd harvest the bread in Virgo, but in the southern hemisphere, you would harvest it in Pisces. Does that follow? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That makes sense.
So, but it doesn't stop there. It's not just random passages in the Bible that could be decoded this way. I'm going to go through the entire book of Revelation to show how deep this runs. Now, the first thing right here is Revelation 4:7. This is the 4 fixed signs, remember? So I'm going to skip it because we already did this. Revelation 5:5. Then one of the elders said to me, do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and its 7 seals. Why can he open the scroll and its 7 seals? Well, the lion is Leo. That's the king. And the ruling planet of Leo is the sun. It's the only time the sun rules over anything. So, of course, he's able to open the scroll and the 7 seals. Revelation 6:1 says, I watched as the Lamb opened the first of the 7 seals. Then I heard one of the 4 living creatures say in a voice like thunder, come. Well, of course, the Lamb has to open the first seal because Aries is the Lamb and Aries begins the year. They talk about the 4 living creatures. These are the 4 fixed signs again, guys. And the reason they say voice like thunder, in Hebrew, when you translate the word thunder, it translates to voices. So, for example, when Moses was up on Mount Sinai, he was listening to God, the thundering. That's what they thought down below. Revelation 6:2, I looked, and there before me was a white horse. Its rider held a bow. I mean, it's just right there in your face. It's Sagittarius right there. Revelation 6:6, then I heard what sounded, hold on. There we go. What sounded like a voice among the 4 living creatures, the 4 fixed signs, say 2 pounds of wheat for a day's wages and 6 pounds of barley for a day's wages. That's Virgo. Remember, the wheat, the barley, the bread, and the beer. And do not damage the oil, that's Libra, and the wine, that's Libra. So there's 2 examples of Virgo, 2 examples of Libra. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs. I watched as he opened the 6th seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red. So to show you this one, I wish I had another one. I really got to learn how to do this. Okay. So the goat is right here. But if you follow its opposing sign to make another pattern, the ruling planet of Cancer is the moon, which is why they have the goat and the moon right next to each other in this passage. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. Guys, tell me who the 144,000 are.
I don't know.
That's an honest answer. I like it.
The amount of Jewish people that are supposed to go to heaven.
And it's a fixed number, right? It's 12,000 from each 12 tribes, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Right. So those are the only people that get to go to heaven or see God, right?
That's what
In fact, that's what the Jehovah's believe. Let me present to you something else. There are 7 chakras. The root has 4 petals, the sacral has 6, the solar plexus has 10, the heart has 12, and the throat has 16, which equals 48. The third eye chakra is represented by 96 and only has 2 petals because it's 2 times as powerful as the lower chakras. So 48 times 2 equals 96. The crown chakra is 1,000 times more powerful than the lower 6 chakras. When you add the lower 6, you get 96 plus 48 equals 144. You times that by 1,000 and you get your 144,000. What that passage is telling you is that when you've activated all your chakras, that is when you get to go see God. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, it seems to add up.
Revelation 9:3. And out of the smoke, locusts came down on earth and were given power like that of the scorpions. So locusts were given the power of scorpions. What did I tell you that the scorpion does, guys? It betrays. That's what it does. Well, how did the locusts betray? Well, in about 5 minutes, you're going to read about Leviticus 11, how locusts are a food group. So that's how it's good, because it's a food source for people. But too many of them is a betrayal. Too many of them is a plague.
That seems to fit in with what we've been hearing for a decade. He'll eat the bugs and be happy or whatever if it's locusts or food.
I will totally get into that in about 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, so the locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On the head they wore something like crowns of gold. So the crowns of gold, horses, that's the sun, gold, in Sagittarius. Their faces resembled human faces. Their hair was like women's hair, that's Virgo. And their teeth were like lion's teeth, that's Leo. They had tails with stingers like scorpions. Scorpions is Scorpio. So you have Sagittarius and Scorpio. Those are connecting signs. Virgo and Leo, those also are connecting signs. So here's Revelation 12. We already did this. This is the dragon. We did this already. Revelation 13:2. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, but had feet like those of a bear and a mouth like that of a lion. I didn't get into this constellation yet because this is the beginning that I first start introducing it. In the sign Gemini, there is a constellation called Camelopardalis, which is broken down 2 ways. Camelos, or camel, and pardalis. The camel and pardalis means leopard, the camel leopard. In fact, the original name for the giraffe was camel leopard because they saw this lanky animal with spots and they had no other name for it, so they were just like camel leopard, and that's what they called it. Camelopardalis is in Gemini. Ursa Major is in Cancer, the lion is Leo. So look at this. The beast I saw resembled a leopard, that's Gemini, but had feet like those of a bear, that's Cancer, and the mouth like that of a lion, that's Leo. That's 3 signs in a row in just that one sentence. Then I saw a second beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. The lamb is Aries. That's where Aries is. And the dragon, it starts in Aries. So this passage is literally just painting out Aries for you. Revelation 18:13. Cargoes of cinnamon and spice, of incense, myrrh and frankincense, of wine and olive oil, of fine flour and wheat, cattle and sheep, horses and carriages, and human beings sold as slaves. I didn't mention this to you guys before, but did you know that myrrh and frankincense, what the wise men bring, are actually olive plants? And what did I tell you guys olives were? That's Libra, right? And guess what? The wine is also Libra. The olive oil is also Libra. So that sentence right there is Libra. The flour and the wheat is Virgo. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs. The cattle is Taurus and the sheep is Aries. Aries and Taurus are connecting signs. Horses, Sagittarius, human beings, Aquarius and Virgo. I mean, they don't even try and hide this half the time. So my point once again is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. That's John Dominic Cresson. So that's Revelation. It doesn't seem so scary now, right? I mean, it's not something that you should surely believe word for word. At the very least, these patterns were not put in there, by accident. So let me pause for a second before we jump into the book of Matthew, because I'm going to do a deep dive into this, and I'm going to show you guys all this stuff too. What do you guys think so far? Give me some feedback.
I can definitely follow along with this, clearly. I mean, it's a lot to take in for sure.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Okay. And what do you think?
She had to run real quick. She'll be right back.
Oh,
she just messaged me.
No biggie. Okay, ready? So here's Matthew. Matthew 3:2. Repent of your sins and turn to God, for the kingdom of heaven is near. Each gospel begins at one of the 4 major points of the zodiac. That's the cardinal signs. That's here, 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 and here. The 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes, when connected, form a cross, which I'm going to show you right now. This is the cross of God's Son that he carries to his death right here. The kingdom of heaven is Leo, because the sun rules Leo, and that's Christ right there. That's the summer. That's when the sun is in its glory. So the closest of these 4 points would be this one right here, which is June 21st in Cancer. This is where the gospel starts. This right here is the cusp handover date between Cancer and Leo. It is the beginning of the kingdom. Matthew 3:4. John's clothes were woven from coarse camel hair, and he wore a leather belt around his waist. For food he ate locusts and wild honey. If we take the most famous drawing of a man, Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man, and superimpose it onto the zodiac, we can make sense of this. So, watch this. Cancer being the head, the beehive cluster is here in Cancer. The head is in Cancer. The mouth is in Cancer. Hence, the mouth eating the honey. That's why John the Baptist eats the honey. Now, Leviticus 11. What's clean and unclean to eat? All flying insects that walk on all fours are to be regarded as unclean by you. There are, however, some flying insects that walk on all fours you may eat. Those that have jointed legs for hopping on the ground. Of these you may eat any kind of locust. See, there it is, the food source. Locust, katydid, cricket, or grasshopper. So like I told you, when they tell you a pound of grasshopper is 3 times as nutritious as a pound of beef, you know they're getting it from the Bible right here, Leviticus 11. That's where they're getting it from. That's where the World Economic Forum is coming from. Now, a little lower on the body, you have the clothes made out of camel hair. So that would be like here. This is a little lower on the body because we were just in the mouth, right? The mouth was eating the beehive cluster and the honey. So you got something a little lower. So the clothes right here made out of camel hair. Well, guess what? Camelopardalis is right here in Gemini. So we started in Leo, and then we went to Cancer, and then we went to Gemini. So that's 3 signs in a row to start. A little lower on the body, so right here is Taurus. It would be a little lower right here, which is where the belt would be. So we started in Leo, the honey, beehive cluster, Cancer, Camelopardalis, the camel hair, clothes, and then here's the belt. Well, how does that work? Taurus represents the bull, and the female is the cow, which is where you get the leather from the cow. Regarding the belt, Orion's belt sits right here, between Taurus and Gemini. Now, next would be the baptism. So we started here. Just so you know, Leo, Cancer, Gemini, and Taurus is 4 signs in a row. Now, how are we going to go from the beginning of Leo to a water sign to signify the baptism? You would go across the zodiac. So you go from the beginning of Leo, right here, opposing sign, it's touching Aquarius. Remember, if it's in the middle, it could talk about either side. Here we see how it makes a leap from one cusp to the other. The man with the water pitcher in Aquarius is personified as John the Baptist with the water. It is important to note, too, that John the Baptist and Jesus are always exactly 6 months apart. When you think about the fact that Jesus is born on December 25th, right, and decreases a degree a day, then that must mean that John the Baptist is born on June 24th and decrease a degree a day.
Can I interrupt really quick?
Yeah.
I know Christians celebrate Jesus' birth on December 25th, but I've always kind of heard like it's a pretty common discussion that it was in the summer that he would have actually been born. Because
they said that they can say September 11th, Feast of the Tabernacles, on Sukkot, right after Passover. I've heard it all. What they argue with within Scripture, I'm showing you outside of Scripture, the holy science that wrote the Scripture.
Okay.
So that's why I'm telling you, is that, yes, I've heard all the arguments for when Jesus was born, but without a doubt, all the ancient gods were born on December 25th, and I explained that. That's the day the sun comes back to life after being dead for 3 days.
That makes sense.
So you see how the sun Jesus rises a degree every single day, and then John the Baptist would decrease a degree every single day? This is why in John 3:30, John says, he must increase, but I must decrease. It's also why St. John's Day is exactly 6 months to the day of the birthday of Jesus. Open up any Catholic calendar. June 24th is St. John's Day. Now, the next story is the temptation of Jesus. So we're going back to the Cancer, Leo, right here. July 24th. Now, what happens next? He's tempted by Satan in the desert. And how long is he tempted?
I don't remember.
40 days. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we see 40 days over and over again, I believe.
Right. Well, this is simple. If this day right here is July 24th, you just count 40 days that he was tempted for. That takes you to September 2nd. This is right in the middle of Virgo, the lady with the wheat stalk. Well, what is the very next passage? Matthew 4:3. If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread. Here we see mention of the bread, which tells you that the sun is in Virgo. So we were in Leo, and then we were in Virgo, and now we're going to be in Libra, which is law, olives, and wine, remember? What are the next passages? Matthew 5:17 and 22. I did not come to abolish the law, and if you are even angry with someone, you are subject to judgment. Both law and judgment are Libra. So remember, we started in Leo, and we went to Cancer, beehive cluster, eating honey, Gemini, camel hair, Camelopardalis clothes, then Taurus, the midsection for the leather belt, and then now we went Leo, Virgo, loaves of bread, and here, law and judgment. This is 7 signs in a row. Do you see this arc that it's making for the beginning of the gospel? Like I told you, each one of these zodiac signs tells a story, and when you put it together, it's beautiful celestial poetry. So that's 7 signs in a row. Matthew 7:15 and 16. Beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep. That's Aries right here. And can you pick grapes from the thorn bushes? The grapes are in Libra. That's the opposing sign right here. Moving along. Matthew 13. Later that same day, Jesus left the house and sat beside the lake. So the lake is one of the 2 water signs, right? They say he's beside the lake. If he was in the lake, he would be in one of these 2 signs. But the fact they use the word beside shows you that it's right here, in between both of them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay. Now, if you follow this across, again, I told you at the beginning, it's always connecting signs and always opposing signs. Leo, Virgo. This is opposing right here. This is Virgo right here because you're in the middle, so you can touch Virgo. So here, he's sitting beside the lake, and then he goes back here to its opposing sign, touches Virgo, and what are the next parables? The wheat in the weeds, the mustard seed, and the yeast. So what's next? You come back over here so that you're in between both, and you're touching Pisces now, and you get the fishing net parable. See, it's a story that uses the zodiac in order to illustrate everything. Now, Gemini is the sign of 2 men, technically twins. However, there's just a short mention of brothers in the next passage. He's just the carpenter's son, and we know Mary, his mother, and his brothers, James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas. So we're in Gemini, but this actually ends right here. And how do we know this? This is still Gemini, right? It's still touching Gemini. Follow it across. Make the pattern. What do you see? This touches Sagittarius, but this is at the cusp right here. What day is this? This is the day of death, December 21st. What is the very next story in the Bible, guys? It's the death of John the Baptist. As I've mentioned before previously, death comes at the end of Sagittarius. So I'm going to show you how Scripture is written now. I'm going to pause from Scripture to show you how the zodiac is used to make Scripture. So I wrote this. Let's take this sentence, which sounds like it could be in the Bible, but isn't. If I say to you, the rulers were divided between war and love. It split the land in half. That sounds biblical, right? And you could read that as a literal translation. Or, the ruling planet of Aries is Mars, who's the god of war. The ruling planet of Libra is Venus, who's the goddess of love. Opposing signs. There's your war and love. If you connect it, it literally splits the land or the rest of the zodiac in half. You see how these are metaphors, guys? And the zodiac is a part of the story, and what's within it helps tell the story?
Yes. I mean, it's very interesting, and it's a lot. It's a lot to think about.
Listen, I lost my mind when I first discovered this. I don't expect anyone to do. Look, at the end of this, I hope I've made a case for you guys to at least look into it yourselves.
Right.
That's all I really care about. You know, I'm showing you what I found and go, okay, then explain how it's not this. That's it.
Right.
So, okay, so that's that. Now, Matthew 14, 17, and 32. But we only have 5 loaves of bread. The bread is Virgo, right? The lady with the wheat stalk. And 2 fish. Well, the 2 fish are literally Pisces, and those are opposing signs. That's why Jesus feeds the masses with 2 fish. This is the cross of God's Son. We were just in Virgo, right here. Our next is Libra, which is law, wine, and oil, remember? What stories do we get now? The story of the temple tax, which is law. The unforgiving debtor, that's law. Divorce and marriage, that's law. And the parable of the vineyard worker, that's wine. That's interesting, right? How everything just seems to line up. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs. Then you have Scorpio, the betrayer. This is where Judas betrays Jesus with the kiss. Now it's 3 signs in a row. And then the 4th sign in a row is right here, which would be the death of Jesus, Christ's death. Now, I know his death is not December 21st. That is the astrology. The same way his birth is December 25th is the way that they explain was the astrological explanation to what your understanding of the story might have had his birth and death at. His birth is December 25th, and his death is December 21st, as far as astrological goes. Now, astrology is a language. If you understand this language, the sky speaks to you, and I understand this language. That's what I'm trying to explain. That's what I'm trying to open people's minds up to, is not to be so closed off to this, because I'm going to show you also how this goes through 6,000 years of holy text. I'm going to show you how they use this against us in entertainment, in movies and music. I'm going to show you that, and we're doing good on time so far. So, guys, follow me on this so far. Are you starting to see the great implication of this so far? It means at the very, very least, the Bible is not meant to be taken literally. At the very, very least. Now, let me read this to you again. This might make a little bit more sense this time around. What is the point of all of this? We take for granted we have calendars, clocks, watches, weathermen. The ancients didn't have any of that. They had sundials. In the Bible, they worked on dream interpretations for harvest. They had to know things. They needed to know Taurus is when you put the plow on the bull and plant as above, so below. The Bible is an encoded farmer's almanac and was the knowledge of staying alive, the most important thing. They would look at the stars and see all this movement and make up stories about them and pass them down to their children, then them to their children. Eventually learned how to write and wrote them down, and they evolved from Sumerian all the way to the Book of Mormon. My point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. So, just wanted to give you guys a couple of quotes here. I'm not looking to start a fight. I just want to present the truth. Okay? The U.S. was not founded as a Christian nation. Thomas Jefferson said, Christianity is the most perverted system that ever shone on man. Benjamin Franklin said, I have found Christian dogma unintelligible. John Adams said, this would be the best of all possible worlds if there were no religion in it. And George Washington said, the Constitution is the guide, which I will never abandon. But it goes further than that. And the day will come when the mystical generation of Jesus, by the Supreme Being as his father in the womb of a virgin, will be classed with the fable of the generation of Minerva in the brain of Jupiter. That's Thomas Jefferson in a letter to John Adams. What influence, in fact, have Christian ecclesiastical establishments had on civil society? In many instances, they have been upholding the thrones of political tyranny. In no instance have they been sent as the guardians of the liberties of the people. That's James Madison. The purpose of separation of church and state is to keep forever from these shores the ceaseless strife that has soaked the soil of Europe in blood for centuries. That's James Madison. Now, I want you guys to tell me this. This quote is from Thomas Paine, 250 years ago. The Christian religion is a parody on the worship of the sun, in which they put a man called Christ in the place of the sun and pay him the adoration originally paid to the sun. So again, I'm not looking to start a fight. I'm just pointing out what people have said. How did he know this 250 years ago? Now, I'm going to show you how they use this against us in society, guys. They always crash the stock markets in Libra. I don't know if you guys ever looked into this or if you guys even care about stock market crashes.
Sure, yeah, and it definitely lines up with like the great crash of October 29th that preceded the Great Depression.
Check this out. Panic of
So Libra's October. I'm not.
Libra is September 23rd to October 22nd.
Okay, good to know, because I follow the markets, but I don't follow the signs, so...
But check this out. The Panic of 1907, October 1907, Teddy Roosevelt, Republican. Wall Street crash of 1929, October 24th, 1929. That's a handover date to Scorpio, but that still has the Libra energy. That's Herbert Hoover, that's a Republican. Black Monday, October 19th, 1987, Ronald Reagan, that's a Republican. Friday the 14th mini crash, October 13th, 1989, George H.W. Bush, that's a Republican. The stock market downturn of 2002, October 9th, 2002, George W. Bush, Republican. 10% in most of the world's indices dropped, October 24th, 2008, crash. That's again a handover date to Scorpio. George W. Bush, that's Republican. Do you guys see a pattern forming?
I think we do.
So now that we're in Libra season and we have a Republican in, and we know that BlackRock's system has an AI platform called Aladdin, which is so powerful that it dictates market trends. It doesn't just highlight them. It doesn't just find them. It actually dictates them. That's how powerful it is. You're in Libra right now. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a crash. Republican in office, Libra right here. Look at the patterns.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
The market might be the most, like, the biggest bubble we've seen of all time right now. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Right. So now check this out, guys. The Roman Catholic Catechism 2116. Can I at least get you guys to be on board with me that what you make of it is one thing, but that there is definitely hidden astrology in the Bible?
I definitely think you're making a good case for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
Okay, so let me
But
read
I
this.
also think that, I mean, from what I've seen for thousands of years, people have looked at the stars for a lot of things. So I definitely agree that whether or not the Bible is fact or fiction, that it has influence on the writings.
Good. So, Roman Catholic Catechism 2116. All forms of divination are to be rejected. Recourse to Satan or demons, conjuring up the dead, or other practices falsely supposed to unveil the future. Consulting horoscopes, astrology, big highlight. Palm reading, interpretations of omens and lots, the phenomena of clairvoyance, and recourse to mediums all conceal a desire for power over time, history, and in the last analysis, other human beings, as well as a wish to conciliate hidden powers. They contradict the honor, respect, and loving fear that we owe to God alone. So, union of the unknown. Let me pose this question to you. If there is so obviously hidden astrology in the Bible, why would the Roman Catholics come out with a catechism banning it?
That's a good question.
Well, I can't say that I follow the Catholic structure of things. So
Most Christians can't speak on behalf of the Catholics. I'm asking you to remove your bias against Mother Mary and the divination of statues and all the saints and all that kind of the papacy and the billions of dollars there and all that bullshit, and just simply tell me what you think. Why would an organization that so obviously surrounds itself on a book that is rooted in astrology ban it from people? Could it be because they don't want you looking into it?
Well, I think there's definitely a lot of that in Christianity. I think they don't want us looking into anything that could be considered supernatural, and I think there's a lot of that in real life. I think there are books that were purposely removed from the Bible that is in circulation in most
we're going to get
churches.
into that.
Okay.
We're going to get into that. So this was the longest part of my presentation. The rest is going to go by quickly, even though it looks like I'm only halfway done. This is going to go by quickly. Do you ever see this movie, Face Off?
Quite a few times.
Okay, I never saw it, so I'm glad you saw it, Perm.
So what happened?
I said quite a few times when I was a teenager, probably.
All right. What was Nicolas Cage and his brother's name?
I don't remember.
What names did I tell you to remember at the beginning? He was Castor Troy. He was Castor Troy. He was Castor Troy, and his brother was Pollux Troy. That's Gemini. Do you know what John Travolta's name was in the movie?
I don't know.
Sean Archer. Who's the Archer?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh.
Castor Troy and Sean Archer.
Opposing signs. You're telling me that this is an accident, that I just happened to figure this out? There are a ton of characters in... What's up?
Speaking of Face Off with Nick Cage, have you seen this latest...
Oh, from Snake Eyes? I haven't gotten into it yet, but I will look at it. It is interesting. But at the same time, Charlie Kirk would have been about 11 at the time that this movie came out.
Yeah, maybe we can get into that another day.
Yeah. So there are a ton of characters in Harry Potter that are named after stars or constellations. You have Draco Malfoy. Draco's the dragon, remember? Pollux Black, Sirius Black, Andromeda Black, Regulus Black, Arcturus Black, Cassiopeia Black, Orion Black, and Cygnus Black. You guys remember the Batman Begins movie?
I don't.
Christian Bale?
I'm not into superhero stuff.
Okay. Well, Algol is known as the demon star. It's in Taurus. And when you get astrological readings on it, it can tell you a lot of things, maleficent things, malevolent things. However, Algol, in Batman Begins, the evil character's name is named Ra's al Ghul, or Algol, which is where they get the bad name from. You guys are too young to remember this, but this is a video from the Cranberry Zombie. You may remember Bad Wolves covered it. You may remember Miley Cyrus covered it. Everybody covers this song.
That's actually my wife's go-to karaoke song. I'm quite familiar with it.
Are you?
Yes, we're both familiar with the Cranberries.
We're not as young as we look either.
That makes me mad. I'm 41, guys, so I don't know.
I'm 40.
Oh.
I'm
all right, well, check this out. I never ask a lady her age.
Thank you.
I've never asked her age either, and I've known her for years.
Yeah.
We'd be close to the same age, Perm.
Probably.
Okay, guys, so check this out. She's painted gold, like the sun, and you have the head dressings right here that look like the rays of the sun. Okay? Now, what is the next scene after she's screaming like this? It's the sun on the cross, and here's Sagittarius right here ready to take her out.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? They have this in movies, in music videos, in life. They use this science that I'm talking to you guys about. They use this. But it's not just the Bible. If you don't know by now the Bible is not original, you still might have doubts. Here's 6,000 years of ancient holy texts, going from 5 Sumerian tablets. I only used 5 because I figured that was enough. The Babylonian Enuma Elish and the Code of Hammurabi, which is where the Jews get their punishment and code of ethics from, to the Egyptian Book of the Dead, to the Gnostic texts, all of them, to the Quran, to the Book of Mormon. I'm still working on the Apocrypha, the Ethiopian Bible, and the Colburn Bible, and one day I hope to get to it. But they're all the same. So, you guys have heard of the Epic of Gilgamesh, right?
Yes.
Check this out. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters we offered to the gods. May the young men of the great walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. Who's the bull of heaven, guys?
Taurus.
Exactly. May the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies in his harvest song. May the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you, who massaged you with sweet-smelling oil. May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. Incidentally, Ishtar right here is where we get the word Easter from. Ishtar was a fertility goddess, which is why you have bunnies and eggs during
I've definitely
Easter.
heard that.
The bear is Ursa Major, the great bear, Gemini, and Cancer. The leopard is Camelopardalis. Camelopardalis refers to a camel or a leopard. The giraffe used to be called the camel leopard. It is in Gemini. Mriga, or the deer, is located in Orion between Taurus and Gemini. Lion is Leo. The wild bull is Taurus. The rivers are Pisces, the water sign that signifies the water. The bull of heaven is Taurus. The shepherd is Aries, as previously mentioned. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. The brewer and the fine beer is from barley, which is harvested in Virgo. Ishtar's priestess is Virgo, the woman. The sweet-smelling oil is the oil from Libra. The mourning like their own brother is Gemini, the brothers. So, out of this 6,000-year-old tablet, the only 2 zodiac signs that are missing are Scorpio and Capricorn. So they didn't mention the goat, and they didn't mention the many forms of Scorpio. So you have the scorpion, you have the phoenix, you have the eagle, you have the dove. They didn't mention any of that. But in this 6,000-year-old tablet, 10 zodiac signs. Astro-theology and Enki in the world order. Father Enki engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Great dragon who stands in Eridug. A grove of vines extending over the land. Where stags are born, where wild goats are born in meadows. You close up the days and make the months enter their houses. The bull is Taurus, the dragon and its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The stag is the deer, which is Mriga, which is in Orion, which is in between Taurus and Gemini. And the goats are Capricorn. So you have Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Sagittarius. 7 signs in a row to open the tablet. Enki and Nirasaja, this is another 6,000-year-old tablet. In Dilmun, the raven was not yet cawing, the partridge not cackling, the lion did not slay, the wolf was not carrying off lambs, The dog had not been taught to make kids curl up. The raven is the constellation Corvus, which means raven borders Virgo. The lion is Leo. These two are connecting signs. The wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders Libra. 3 signs in a row. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign. The dog is Canis Major, which is 11 stars in Cancer. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra are 4 signs in a row. Inanna's descent to the netherworld. She took the 7 divine powers. She had placed twin egg-shaped beads on her breast. After 3 days and 3 nights had passed, and the other life-giving water, they will offer you a river full of water. So the river full of water would be Pisces. The life-giving water would be the baptism water, right? You see how they word it differently? They will offer you a field with its grain. They eat no fish. The 7 of them poured the milk. They would not let the shepherd play the pipe. He turned his feet into snake's feet, in the beer house and the tavern. The 7 divine powers are the 7 sisters of the Pleiades. That's in Taurus. The twin is Gemini. These are connecting signs. The life-giving water is Aquarius. The river full of water is Pisces. These are connecting signs. The field and its grain are Virgo. Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. The fish is Pisces as well. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius and Gemini are opposing signs. The shepherd is Aries. So far, we have Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, and Gemini. That's 5 signs in a row. The snake is Ophiuchus, which sits in sidereal between Scorpio and Sagittarius. The beer house is Virgo. That's 7 signs in this table, 5 signs in a row. Enki's journey to Nibiru. Its eaves roar like a bull. Your lock has no rival. Your bolt is a fearsome lion. Your roof beams are the bull of heaven. Your vault is a bull raising its horns. Your door is a lion who seizes a man. Your staircases is a lion coming down on a man. Rising sea without a rival. Mighty awe-inspiring river which terrifies the land. A lion in the midst of the Abzu. The Suhar carp play among the honey herbs. Enki had oxen slaughtered and had sheep offered there lavishly. Enki reached for the beer and had emmer wheat beer pressed out. The bull is Taurus, the bull of heaven. The lion is Leo, the man is Aquarius. Aquarius and Leo are opposing signs. The carp is Pisces, and the honey is the beehive cluster in Cancer. Aquarius and Pisces are connecting signs. The sheep is Aries. Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus are 4 signs in a row. The wheat beer is Virgo. Virgo and Pisces are opposing signs. Leo and Virgo are connecting signs. Cancer and Leo are connecting signs. Cancer, Leo, Virgo are 3 signs in a row. The 3 missing signs are Gemini, Sagittarius, and Capricorn, but even in the missing signs, there's patterns, because Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs, as I just showed you in Face Off with Castor and Pollux Troy and Sean Archer. And Sagittarius and Capricorn are connecting signs. I mean, these are 6,000-year-old tablets, guys.
Right.
So there are countless other Sumerian texts. I only gave you 5 examples to show the pattern. Now let's move on to the Babylonians, the Enuma Elish. Then Tiamat enlisted a horned snake, and Wushusu dragon, a mad dog and a scorpion man, half fish, half man, half bull. The horned snake is Ophiuchus, a dragon. Draco the mad dog is the dog star Sirius, which is in Cancer. The scorpion man is Scorpio and Aquarius mix. The half man, half fish is Aquarius Pisces border, which blends the fish and the man sign. The half man, half bull, which is half Aquarius, half Taurus. The Code of Hammurabi. If a man has stolen ox or sheep or ass or pig or ship, whether from the temple or the palace, he shall pay 30-fold. The man sign is Aquarius, the ox is Taurus, the sheep is Aries, the ass is a Celus Borealis, or donkey, located in Cancer, and the pig is a constellation called Porcus. The ship is a constellation called Argo that goes from Cancer to Scorpio. That's 7 signs total. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. Almighty of knives, lady of 2 lands, the one who smashes the enemies of the weary-hearted one, the one who does what is wise, the one free of wrong. The name of its gatekeeper is Long-Horned Bull. What is to be said when arriving at the 5th portal? Words spoken by the Osiris Ani, the Vindicated, O fiery one, mistress of heat, the joyful one, the one whom the of the bald-headed do not descend, the one who asks that something be given to her without the swift glance entering her. The name of its gatekeeper is one who spears the disaffected. The lady is Virgo, the woman, and the long-horned bull is Taurus, the bull. I have another example from this book. Chapter for becoming Ta, eating bread, drinking beer, purifying the hinder parts, and being alive in Heliopolis. What will you live on, say the gods and spirits to me? I will live and have power through bread. Where will you eat it, say the gods and spirits to me? I will have power and eat it under the branches of the tree of Hathor, my mistress, who made offering of bread, beer, and corn in Heliopolis. Remember how I told you at the beginning, beer and corn literally are Virgo? All of them? This is an Egyptian work right here that shows you that corn was definitely harvested back then. Those who are in Heliopolis bow their heads for me, for I am the Lord, I am their bull. The bread, beer, when you harvest. The bull is Taurus. Incidentally, guys, I'm not sure if you know this, but Heliopolis was known as the city of light in Egypt. It's where people went to get enlightened. That's where people went to go read and learn. It was called On, O-N, for many, many, many years. Which is why when you go into a room today and it's dark and you want to become enlightened, because everything is metaphorical, you have to turn the lights on.
Did not know that.
So the Book of Enoch, chapter 8.2. Samjaza taught enchantments, Armoros the resolving of enchantments, Barakijal taught astrology, Kokabel the constellations, Ezekiel the knowledge of the clouds, Sariel the course of the moon. 51.4. And in those days shall the mountains leap like rams, that's Aries, and the hills shall also skip like lambs, that's Aries, satisfied with the milk, the Milky Way galaxy whose centers in Sagittarius. The Gospel of Q. Now I'm going through the Gnostic texts, guys. And if you haven't noticed, I'm just giving one example of each, just because if I had to go through all of them, it would take us like 40 days.
Right.
Okay, so give us our daily bread today. Which of you would give your child a stone if they asked for bread? Or would you give them a snake if they asked for fish? The bread is Virgo, the snake is Ophiuchus, and the fish is Pisces. Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. Everyone who divorces his wife and remarries is unfaithful to her, and whoever marries someone who's divorced is unfaithful too. Which of you, if you had 100 sheep and lost one of them, wouldn't leave the 99 in the hills and go after the one that got lost? Divorce, marriage, court, law is all Libra. The sheep are Aries. These are opposing signs. The secret gospel of John. Sophia saw what her desire produced, a change into the form of a dragon with a lion's head. So the lion is Leo, and the dragon, if you follow Leo's opposing sign, that's to Aquarius, that's the belly of the dragon. The Gospel of Thomas. Happy is the lion that a man will eat. The lion will become a man. Cursed is the man whom the lion eats, for that lion will become a man. They're talking about ingesting an animal and their components will become part of you or you a part of them. However, in astrology, the lion is the sign Leo. The sign of the man is Aquarius. They are opposing signs of the zodiac. That's how you get the story of Daniel with the lion's den. That's Aquarius, the man, Daniel, and you have the lion, that's Leo. Those are opposing signs.
Right.
That's how you build the story. Man is like a skilled angler who casts his net and draws it up full of fish. They're talking about the man, Aquarius, and the sign of the fish, Pisces. They're connecting signs. Let me show you some stuff, guys, that you're going to find pretty interesting. If I wanted to show you a merman, I would do Aquarius, Pisces. If I wanted to show you bullfighting or bull riding or running of the bulls, I do Taurus, Aquarius. If I wanted to show you a mermaid, that's Pisces, Virgo. Those are opposing signs. If I wanted to show you lion taming, that's Leo, Aquarius. Those are opposing signs. If I wanted to show you jousting, that's Gemini, Sagittarius, on and on and on, with how much of as above, so below is actually true. But I just wanted to give you guys a couple examples to see where we get our stuff that we do. Like, it's so peculiar why we do certain things. This is where we get a lot of it from. So, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Mary questioned her master, at the end of an eon will all matter be destroyed. Each zodiac sign is considered a house. So the house of Aquarius, the house of Pisces, each sign is also called an eon. Gospel of Philip. When he came to his disciples in splendid glory on the Mount of Olives, he wasn't small. He became great and made his disciples great so they could see him in his greatness. On that day he said in gratitude, you have united perfect light with Holy Spirit. Unite us with the angels as well. Don't scorn the Lamb. Without him it's impossible to know the King. No one may visit the King without robes of light. So the olives are Libra and the Lamb is Aries. Those are opposing signs. The Good Samaritan gave wine and oil to the weak man. Both wine and oil are Libra. The Gospel of Judas. A nearby lake of still waters quenched our thirst. The place reminded us of David's famed shepherd song, where souls were restored. The lake of still waters is Pisces, the water. The shepherd is in Aries. These are connecting signs. The Gospel of Emmanuel. Okay, so the first slide that I'm going to show you in this, guys, is not astro-theology. It's just something interesting that I found with reading this. This is 1220. The earth can nourish and support 500 million people of all the human races. But if these laws are not followed, in 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million people will exist and the earth will not be able to support them anymore. This was supposedly a 2,000-year-old scripture that said 500 million. Well, 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million is 5 billion. 2,000 years, 5 billion people. So it seems to have predicted it. If it's legit, if this is a forgery, then they obviously put it there on purpose. But where have we heard the 500 million before? This gospel was discovered in 1963. As far as my research goes, this is where it comes from. What was created in 1980, guys?
Wasn't that the Georgia Guidestones?
Bingo. Maintain humanity under 500 million. To be perfectly honest with you, I've looked into this. And I'm telling you that this is where I think it comes from. This particular gospel. This is where the elites get their number 500 million from.
Very interesting. So, and you may get into this, but my question would be, because in your presentation, there's been some overlap of, like, we're talking about the food, we're talking about 500 million. So do you think that these people are Gnostics? Do you think that they subscribe to the Bible? I mean, what are your thoughts on that? What is there? Because basically, as someone who hasn't done like a super deep dive on all of these subjects, but I do feel that they worship, an ancient death cult or something, but it does not seem to be biblical to me.
Well, yeah, the Bohemian Grove with Moloch and everything, absolutely. Do you know how many, especially coming out with how all the rappers are gay, or at least are on the DL?
Correct. Or
Yeah,
that
everything is basically inverted. They're like, we'll
Right.
give you what you want. We just have to shove this cucumber up your ass and take a picture of it. That's basically that's the kind of stuff that they do, or sacrifice an animal or sacrifice a child or things of that nature. That's what they do. It's a death cult too. But I mean, let's explain this to you. Let's explain this to you why. The reason that America is for the most part a Christian nation and consistently defends Israel, even though Israel doesn't deserve it, has to do with a couple of things. Number one, the Jews need Israel to exist so that their Messiah can come back. The Christians need Israel to exist so that their Jewish Messiah can come back. The Jews wrote the Old Testament, where they wrote themselves as the chosen ones, where they wrote their Messiah as being from one of them.
As a Christian, sorry to interrupt, but as a Christian, I don't feel like I need Israel to exist for my Messiah to come back.
Well, I'm explaining why it needs to exist. So,
Okay.
I get what you're saying. But the Christians need Israel to exist because Jesus is supposed to come back and he's supposed to lead the army. In fact, I'm going to show you guys in another presentation. If you guys will have me back on, I have another presentation it's kind of jumpy, but it's really cool. It's going to show you a lot of stuff. I'm going to show you. There's a church in Megiddo, the town in Israel, Megiddo, which is where the word Armageddon comes from. Megiddo is the town that, forgive me, I can't remember scripture exactly. It's either where the final battle is supposed to begin or end. I forget which one it is. I think end. But what they did was there was a church there, and some guy put his foot through the ground because it was kind of old. And what they did was they realized he almost died too, and they they looked into the hole and they dug it up and they found that completely a 3rd century. So this is from the 200s. Church under this church, and they excavated it, and then there was a big mosaic right in the middle of the floor in the old church, and you know what it was?
I don't know.
It was the 2 fish Pisces. Because they knew. I'm going to explain. So the Egyptians are the age of Taurus. Okay. The bull. That's why a lot of their hieroglyphs have the sun in between the bull's horns. The Jews are the people of Aries. That's why they blow the ram's horn during the holidays. The Christians are the people of Pisces. Jesus is the Piscean solar deity, which is why he feeds the masses with 2 fish and everything else that I've showed you. And now we're entering the age of Aquarius, and they need a new religion. That's why you see Chrislam coming around. That's why you see all this stuff trying to make its way. But let me finish this, and then we can go off to something else. So, truly I say to you, this is still from the Gospel of Emmanuel. Truly I say to you, from now on I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vineyard, nor eat of the bread until I drink and eat again with you after my affliction. The grapes are Libra, and the bread is Virgo. Those are connecting signs. The Quran, you guys are going to be blown away by this. How obvious they make it, and how people are literally murdered for thinking differently about this. Those who do not know say, why has not the Lord turned the word to us, and why will he not show us a sign from heaven? Similar words were spoken by those who came before them, their hearts alike. We interpret the signs for those who are committed to their faith. Interesting, right? And how beautifully all people see the love of earthly passions. Here are women and sons. There are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses and herds of cattle on a plow field. Women are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sons are the boys in Gemini. Horses are Sagittarius, and cattle is Taurus. The plowed field is Taurus as well. Taurus and Gemini are connecting signs, and Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs. Verily in the creation of earth and sky, and in the change of night to day. Here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. Remember how I told you that the Masons said that I was too revealing of the signs? And among them are those who only pretendingly listen to you. We put a cover on their hearts so that they would not understand it, and we covered their ears with deafness. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. He is the one who brings down water to you from the sky. And with it we give plants of all kinds to grow. And with it we grow shoots of cereals. From them we grew grains, sitting in an ear of dents side by side. From the date palm its ovaries, bunches of fruits hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar yet so different from each other. When fruits appear on them, rejoice in how they are poured and ripen. Truly in this are hidden signs for those who believe in God. Well, the grains are planted in Taurus, then April showers bring May flowers, water from the sky. The grains grow, reap in Virgo, gardens of vines and olives, grapes and olives are pressed in Libra. These are the hidden signs. And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of date palms and vines, which is washed by abundant streams, wherefore his pleasure are all kinds of fruit, while old age befalls him, and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it all to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs to you so you can understand. The vines are the vineyards in Libra, and the streams are the streams in the water sign of Pisces and Aquarius. I mean, people are literally being murdered over this. Murdered over all these books. So that was the Quran. Now check this out, guys. You familiar with the 72 virgins?
Definitely.
Check this out. There's a star right here, okay, called 70 Virginis that borders Virgo. That's 70. Virgo is 1, so that's 71, plus the virgin you marry on earth, 72. Those are the 72 virgins. It's all astrology. And people think they're going to go to heaven and have it. Now, to be fair, Muslims have come back to me and they said men can have multiple wives. And I've said, yes, that's true. You are permitted to have up to 4 wives. But the caveat is you have to be able to afford them, and most of them can't.
Right.
So, the Book of Mormon. Nevertheless, I went forth, and as I came near unto the house of Laban, I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. Yea, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. Both wine and lawly things take place in Libra. And after the house of Israel should be scattered, they should be gathered together again, or at fine after the Gentiles had received the fullness of the gospel. The natural branches of the olive tree, or the remnants of the house of Israel, should be grafted in, or come to the knowledge of the true Messiah, their Lord and their Redeemer. Therefore remember, O man, for all thy doing thou shalt be brought into judgment. Olives take place in Libra, the judgment takes place in Libra. And I looked, and I beheld the Lamb of God, that he was taken by the people. And the Son of the everlasting God was judged on the world, and I saw him bear record. The Lamb of God is Aries, the Son of God, or the Son of Man, is Aquarius. Judging takes place in Libra. Libra and Aries are opposing signs. So, guys, my point once again is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. So the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said that all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, is it accepted as self-evident. Do you understand the great implication here? What is more likely? That all the Western ancient holy texts that we take for granted are living, breathing books, that Revelation keeps coming true, or that the ancient elites have encoded all our texts this way and are tailoring events that people can interpret as coming true?
Yeah, I mean, so are you, when you say ancient elites, do you mean the same people that are, like lineage, like bloodlines with the same people that would be considered the elites or the predator class?
Absolutely.
Today?
Absolutely.
And that they interfered with the original text, or that they were the ones writing?
They were the ones writing it.
Right.
So this is basically, at its simplest, the sun is good, the Christ, the plasma. The night is bad, set, evil, hence the sunset. Throughout the year, the sun goes through 12 entities. Each one of them has a story. The stories about them make up the encoded Farmer's Almanac, that is the Bible, and each story in the Bible is a different way of telling the same story. Everyone used to be an English major in the ancient times. The greatest story ever told is the only story ever told. It's just told in different ways over the ages. The problem with the world can be boiled down to the fact that people keep taking these stories literally. The powers that be have no intention on correcting you. Infighting keeps you off this fact. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that we can use this as an example in so many other situations and scenarios, that the infighting is over, whatever that may be and whatever the subject may be, but that keeps people distracted and keeps them from coming to a conclusion and probably thinking as critically as they probably should.
I mean, you guys are incredibly open-minded considering what I just dropped on you.
Yeah, I mean,
but in your heart, does a lot of this make sense?
I mean, I think it makes sense. I think it's a great point. I think it's something like this type of information is something that I think you need to mull over and process and think about it, because it is, it's such so much information. And I definitely think that it makes sense. It's at the very least food for thought. But I definitely think that Perm and I are both pretty open to hearing, we've listened to quite a bit of esoteric stuff. So I think that we're open to hearing different interpretations and viewpoints and having our paradigm shifted, which is partially also why we're in the liberty or truth community to begin with, is because we were willing to have our paradigm shifted.
I think you guys are great. I think you guys are absolutely wonderful. I really like you guys.
I appreciate that. I'd also like to input that you mentioned more of the Judeo-Christian religions and newer, and I've spent a lot more time researching the Hindu and Vedic religions. So
I have not spent any time searching the East. I've just been busy with the West, to be honest with you. So
you gotta jump on it, because they're all about this stuff.
Well, the thing about Vedic texts is that they use a lot of sidereal work, and I don't. I use tropical. What that basically means is this. I use 12 whole signs. I may have mentioned Ophiuchus a few times in here because it snuck its way in here, but do you guys know the difference between the two sciences?
I don't.
Between Vedic. Okay, so whole sign hold on. Right here. Okay. So you see this right here, right?
Yep.
You see the zodiac?
Yep.
You see how it's 12 slices of a pie that's equidistant?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Vedic astrology adds a 13th sign in there, and suddenly the circle opens up a little bit. For example, Virgo would be a month and a half. So Virgo would probably go from here to here, right? And Scorpio is only 9 days, or 6 days. So it would go from here to here. And then Ophiuchus is kind of small, so it would go right here. It's whole sign. So it's the actual size of the constellation. That's Vedic versus what is known here as whole sign. What is known here as tropical.
Okay.
So I've been showing you tropical. You're familiar with Vedic. This is my book series that you mentioned with Beneath the Veil, and I've written so many more. And you'll DM me, right, your email so that I could email it to you?
Absolutely. And it's easy, and if anybody ever wants to email me, it's just bigperm@permnation.com.
Yeah, I'm going to need you to DM me.
Yeah, no problem.
Book 1 talks about MK Ultra. Book 2, the secrets of the pyramids. Book 3, the Knights Templar versus the Rosicrucians. Book 4, the Jab, which I wrote in 2017 and predicted what happened. You have to read book 4. It's insane. I wrote it in 2017, and I had to put a disclaimer in it because they still published it, but I had to put a disclaimer in it. Book 5, where the Library of Alexandria is now. Book 6 exposes the Bohemian Grove and the Pindar. Book 7, transmuting the stone at the Kaaba into gold and destroying the world's markets. Book 8, Tesla's earthquake machine in Greenland. Topics discussed in my book series: gematria, etymology, numerology, astronomy, astrology, astro-theology. This is just some of them. Out-of-body experiences, the Akashic records, symbology, remote viewing, religious secrets, capstones of the pyramids, DNA encoding, mystery school channelers, near-death experiences, DMT monitoring, lucid dreaming, acoustic levitations, physics and quantum physics, psychotherapy, psychology, spiritual guides, Tesla tech, shared dreaming and crystal technology, conspiracies that not many people know about, corruption and secret societies. And this right here, this QR code takes you right to my website. Website is debunkmywork.com. And it's tongue-in-cheek because I've been trying to get somebody to come on and tell me where I'm wrong, and nobody's done that. It's been 5 years, and I'm getting kind of tired. I want to talk to somebody who disagrees with me. Nonetheless, I have a Rumble here, rumble.com, user nydank101, Facebook, Micah Dank, Twitter or X at Real Mr. Dank, and Instagram, Micah Dank. But all these social medias, all my books, and everything you can get on my website, debunkmywork.com. Also, you two lovely co-hosts, go to my website. You know how I just showed you like one example from each?
Yes.
Well, if you were interested in, like, say, you're like, oh, the Book of Enoch seemed interesting, but I only saw a little snippet of it. If you go to my website, I have them chronologically listed. You just have to copy the Rumble link. They originally were YouTube links, but YouTube brought me down. But do you guys understand why I started with the disclaimer of all the people that are trying to shut this down?
Of course.
Yes,
There's
absolutely.
actually something I was hoping you could provide me with too, is the slide with the quotes from our founding fathers.
Okay, what about them?
Because I just wanted that slide, because oftentimes you hear, oh yeah, this is a Christian nation founded on Christian values and stuff, and I've heard, well, this is more of a nation founded on, I'm drawing a blank,
Secular values.
what you were involved with.
Astro-theology?
No.
Secular values?
Oh,
Gnostic?
Mason values. Sorry. Freemason values.
Yeah.
So I hear that often, and I was kind of Googling those quotes as you had them on the slide, but it'd be
Uh-huh.
good to just have them all in one place if you
I
don't
don't mind
mind.
sending it to you. Sure, I'll send you the
Yeah.
slide. Do either of you guys have social media?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
on Twitter mostly.
Oh wait, you guys DM'd me already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just send me messages or just friend me on there, and I'd love to come on and do a part two. It's going to be kind of different, but I would really like to hear what your audience thought too. So maybe we could schedule something in the future.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully the internet issues are better next time. We haven't really had any issues in the past, so I'm sure it'll be fine next time.
right.
And we're the Union of the Unknowns because we have a group of people that kind of it's a moving cast of people. So it's not just us two. There's quite a few of us, and I'm sure some of our other co-hosts would love to hear about the or listen to this episode and have questions for you too.
Yeah, I'll do a panel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically what it is. Kind of like
I'll
the
do a
union.
panel and I'll just answer questions in real time.
Yeah, and we, people were interested in on the live as well, so it's a bummer that we lost the live feed, but people were curious to get into this, so we definitely can have a follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can take some questions from them beforehand,
I
so
mean,
that way we.
it's pretty mind blowing stuff, right? How everything's just right in your face.
It really is. There's a lot of insane connections that you've made here, and it's really a lot of food for thought. Truly.
Hmm.
Definitely with the scripture backing it up too.
Okay, guys. Well, I gotta go take care of my stepdaughter and put her to bed and do my stuff. But it was really cool meeting you guys. You guys are a really cool group of people. You have my Twitter. You have my email. Let's do something soon. I have a presentation that's not as long. It's maybe about 90 slides or so. But it's a bunch of different stuff, and it goes into explaining some of the biblical stories, what people got wrong, and things of that nature outside of astro-theology, if you're interested.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
sounds good.
Or we can do the round panel, depending on how. I'm sure this is going to get received well. I'm always received very, very well.
And
Um,
we tend to do shows around 3:30, 4 o'clock Pacific
yeah, that's
on
perfect for me. I'm in
on
Florida.
Wednesdays.
That's fine. I'm in Florida or New York usually.
Okay. So we
All
have
right.
people on both coasts and all over. So yeah, this time is probably best for us. 3:30, 4 o'clock Pacific, 6:30, 7 Eastern.
Yeah, that works. That works.
Cool.
Okay. All right,
Thanks a lot
perfect.
for
And you're
coming.
yeah, and
Appreciate
you're
your
sorry, Perm. I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna tell Micah that his info, contact info, all that good stuff is gonna be on the show notes as well.
All you got to do is go to my website, debunkmywork.com. I have like a t-shirt, a hat, and a hoodie for my book series. My book series is there. I have a kid's book called A is for Aries. It's for 6 to 11-year-olds. It's an intro to the astrological signs for them that I did with my astrologer. All my social media links are on there. All the full episodes. I mean, every book of the Bible has its own, and I go through all the breakdowns of everything. At the bottom, there's a way that you can email me. It's one of those like contact me, and then you fill out a little subject line, your name and email, and send me a little message, and it goes right to my email. My book series is there. You'd have to read them in order though, guys, because it is it is 8 books right now. It's going to be 9 in 3.5 months.
Right.
But I also sell digital copies of my books that I can email, and I also sell the audiobook set. If you're looking for audiobooks, you're only going to find the first 2 on Amazon because Audible is awful. They're awful. They've kept me in such a stranglehold. So finally I was like, fuck it. I'm going to pay somebody to do this myself. So I did, and I have them. So if you're into audiobooks, It's 8 books. I only charge $100. $100 flat, PayPal, send it to me, and then I'll email it to you within seconds.
Perfect.
Big Perm, I'll send you the audiobooks out of respect since you read my first book. And Ashley, you're welcome to have them too if you're interested.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll hit you up on Twitter or email or something, and we can figure it out. But I appreciate it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first one.
Good. I appreciate that. So, guys, I will talk to you soon. Let me know when I can come back on. We'll do this again. It was fun.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good evening.